Oh, welcome back to TYT Sports. We're going to talk some tactics, but not in our usual fashion, because everywhere, every outlet is trying to comprehend, trying to contemplate, trying to understand what has went wrong with one of the world's best teams in Barcelona. So one win in the last five, struggling out of the Champions League. Their lead cut in La Liga, so still chasing for the domestic double. But what has went wrong? This is something that many people are just blaming on other teams doing well, and this is where there's a simple, I would say, observations and what the naked eye can kind of contemplate for what's gone wrong. And then there's diving deep into sheer problems, which I have highlighted for Barcelona. I'm not just using this as a platform to say, hey everyone, I understand what's going wrong. None of you guys do. But what I want to say is that there is actual traits in there as to why Barcelona are conceding goals. They've conceded 4 headers in the last 5 games. Clear problem. They've conceded goals from crosses but into the box consistently. And it's all coming from their, I would say, lackadaisical attitude to defend and to deal with, I would say, defensive issues in wide areas. So what you'll see happen, very similar to what we've seen against Atletico Madrid, the likes of Jordi Alba trying to defend the ball in this area, and rather than just simply saying have it out the corner, he tries to find possession in here, because what Barcelona like to do is, when it comes to defensive areas like this, they don't like to rush back. They don't want to panic. So you often see the likes of Mascherano, Gerard Piqué, and Dani Alves form like this, but it's only usually Busquets in this area. So Busquets will come in there, and he'll either want it into feet and try and pass their way out, and that allows Iniesta to kind of try and float in this area and pick up the ball. But what you'll see Jordi Alba do, and Dani Alves, is they'll try to play out. They'll try to play into this danger area where the likes of Atletico Madrid, for their first goal, I don't need to highlight this again, Sal Noiguez understands this, and he just sits in this area, and as they try to clear it, picks it up, and it's a quick ball into the box, and there is Griezmann to bang in the header. And the same thing happened against Villarreal on the other side. You get Dani Alves picking up the ball in here, and rather than defending as he should, clearing the ball down the line, he tries to win it and control it in this area. And what you'll see more teams doing, like Villarreal, like Atletico Madrid, like Bilbao, when they come up against Barcelona, is when they see the ball into compromised areas, it's specifically in wider areas for Barcelona, they will put a lot of pressure in there. So they'll sacrifice maybe another midfielder. They'll push their striker across, and they'll sacrifice another midfielder to try and condense in this area. Yes, that leaves for a switch of play, which Barcelona have been so good at doing as of recent times, and they might leave themselves open to a counter-attack. But the risk definitely pays off when they're able to win possession in that area and turn a quick adverse moment into a very speedy attack and force Barcelona to pay the ultimate price. But that's not where the only issue has been coming up. Many people are now heaping the criticism on Lionel Messi as to what has happened with his dip in form. Very similar to the same thing that happens with Ronaldo. As soon as the stats don't measure up to that mountainous amount of goals and assists that they have continuously contributed in their career, people start to pose questions. And that just signifies how good of a player or players they are. So you need to expect that criticism. But we're going to dive a little bit deeper. Like, I don't want to just sit here and say, oh, Messi's not scored as of recent. Barcelona are not winning the last as many times as they should in the last 5 games. So clearly Messi's just out of form. But what are differences that he's making in his movement as to what he previously did when Barcelona were firing on all cylinders? So I'm going to highlight that right here. Is what you'll see with Messi now is that he's starting to wander into more central areas to try and just find possession. So remember the first half of Atletico, especially in the home game and in the second game, is he's trying to find the ball in these little pockets in here. And yes, Messi can work wonders in space, but what you'll see Atletico do is they'll sacrifice their right mid, whether it's the likes of Koke who'll cut inside, they'll condense that middle area, because Barcelona, it's not rocket science to realise that they don't have the biggest of strikers in there. Suarez is very good with his head, as he proved when Atletico went down to 10 men in the first leg. He was able to glance that ball into the corner, a phenomenal header. But that's kind of one example. And how many times did they try to cross the ball in against Atletico in the second leg? Because what they'll do is they'll say, okay, you can overlap Jordi Alba in here, because we know that when we hit you in the counter-attack, you're leaving this area open. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to get Neymar and Messi and Suarez to come as close together as possible and not allow them to spread the play. Because what you used to see with Messi is he would get the ball in here against teams that play a traditional 4-2-3-1. So this is a team that I imagine would play this formation. And what they have to do is they have to sacrifice a holding midfielder to try and pick up the likes of Neymar who wander in, and that leaves Messi one-on-one. one-on-one with a defensive midfielder that he can easily kind of play a 1-2, find his way in here. But when you play a 4-4-2, what they do is they'll like to just kind of pack this area and cause the problem and just leave these areas open so that they can just attack wide, and that will leave Messi with less room to work in the middle. And it's so surprising to me that you see a team like Leicester emulate a very 4-4-2 style. Now, I understand they go between a 4-4-2 at times when they put Ulloa up top with Vardy, but they play that very similar style the way that when they lose possession, they get a bank of 4 behind them to try and cause problems. And I'm not saying Leicester are the same as Atletico. Relax, La Liga fans. What I'm saying is it's surprising to me that more people continuously stick with the 4-2-3-1 because it's the trend. It's the hipster world of formations at the moment. People are like, let's go with the 4-2-3-1. All the cool kids are doing it. But it doesn't always work. And Barcelona, with that 4-3-3, it's just it's so counteractive when they play against a 4-3-3 against a 4-4-2 because Atletico are willing to just leave 2 men up and they have the stamina to get up and down. So what they'll do is they just provide those banks of 4, and it forces Messi to just have so much less room than he's used to working with. And as I mentioned, that in the past that's been a very small problem for Messi, but he never used to. When this was a problem for him, he never had another 2 strikers who are trying to fill that void as well and try to find that space. So what Atletico are trying to do, in basically as layman terms as possible, they're trying to use Barcelona's ability to create space and have 3 mobile, attacking, individual-minded players against them. They're trying to just make it so that they're all crowding out their own space so that Neymar has to wander outside of his comfort zone, so that Messi has to go and fetch for the ball rather than getting it into space. It's a genius tactic that Diego Simeone done. And I just thought more people would have kind of caught on to that. But again, people go to the standard go-to argument of, nah, he's just not playing well. He's just not as in form as what he once was. I like to disagree with that. I like to look beyond what you usually just look at with the naked eye and go into the depth of the tactical analysis, which Diego Simeone deserves and more managers deserve. Because when they go out to install that, people should highlight it and people should pay tribute to it. So that's a brief analysis as to why Barcelona, for me, are struggling to not hit the same heights that they had done at the start of the season and as of a few games back. Make sure to let me know what you guys think in the comment section below and come back to TYT Sport.